Hi, in this video I'd like to talk a little bit more in depth about the if-else statement. This one pretty much contributes to its own video, but before I do that I just want to show you this in action because I didn't get to show you. So this starts at 3, ends at 5 and increments by 2, so it'll be 3 and then 5. Let's go to 10 actually. So it'll be 3. You should count, start at 3, go to 5, go to 7, go to 9, and then we'll see what happens after that. I'll just go text I, I'll print off I. I start at 10, so I'm just gonna go through and 100. Okay, so let me just get rid of this thing. Alright, so you can see here 3 to 10 means it ends at 9 because it doesn't go over 10. 3, 5, 7, 9, and that's, so I can just put 9 there just to make it 3 to 9 till 9 increments by 2 there. Alright, and I can increment by 3 if I like, increment by 2, start at 1 instead, so you can see there. Same deal here. I'm going to copy that, paste it here, and turn that off. And I can go to 9. This one should be back at 3, but you can get the idea. Alright, so the if statement. So let's assume you had number of cats. So let's say you had like cat. Like you have 2 cats, right? So I'll do an if statement. If cat is less than 0, right? That's less than 0. Let's print off error. You can't have cats less than 0, right? And let's check that position, and let's turn these eyes off. Okay, so you can't have cats less than 0. So let's put -1, so error's out. I'll put it a little bit closer to the middle. All right. So error's out. Now, so what happens is it goes in here, it checks this, and if this is true, it's less than 0, it will produce an error. I'm going to go else, and what I'll do is I'll check if cat equals to -1, and in this language we need to use a triple equals and open close bracket. Alright, so in this scenario what I'll do is I'll go cat can't be negative. Alright, so what do you notice here? You notice that cat is -1, so it should go into here and print this off, but it doesn't. It still produces an error. Let me just still produce. So this doesn't get done, even though cat is -1, which this is true. It doesn't do that. The reason being is, see this else here? The way this thing works is this is an if-else statement. If this is true already, it will never look at this, and it will skip it and move on. So if the first one is true, you'll never look at the next one. Alright, so this in some ways is written poorly. Now if you want this to work, you got to pull the else off. And then what happens is this is true and this is true and it's on top of each other. So if I just move that down a bit, you can see this is true, so it prints that off, and then this is true, it prints that off. So what I've done is I've separated the 2 if statements. If I put an else on it, I now connect these 2, and if the first one is true, it doesn't do the second one. Now I'll do another one. I'll go else if cat is equal to 2. No, I'll do else. I'll just do an else. No, I'll do else if. Else if equal to 2. And what I'll write here is I'll write text a decent amount. And finally, I'll do an else, just an else without an if. And I'll write what? And I should put this at 100. 100. And also put this at 100. 100. And I'll put that all. I'll put them all at the same spot because they're all the same. If save. So that's an issue there. Need 3 equals. Alright, so cat is -1, this executes, so this is true, and then it doesn't look at any of these, and it'll finish. Now what I'll do is I won't make this true, I'll make this one true. I'll make it 2. So you can see here, just shift that off to the side a bit, a decent amount. So you can see here, cat is equal to 2, so this is false, so that doesn't happen. So it goes to the next one. This is false, it's not -1, that doesn't happen. This is true, does that, and then skips that because this is already true. So it's a selection. It will select whichever one is true first. And this is one big if statement, especially if you have the else's here. All right, so how does else work? This works by giving a default value. So if none of these are true, then it will just go what? It will just default to that. It will always default to that. So let's choose a value that's not within here. I'll choose a 3, and you go what? Because 3 is not handled anywhere. So if nothing is handled here, it will just default to the what. So we call this the default value, the default action, not value, action. Okay, else without an if is a default action. Now, what we can do is we can separate the ifs. So I can separate this, and now what I've done is I have 2 separate if statements. There's an if else here, and there's an if else here. This has got no default value. This has got a default value. Now, how does this one work? Now let's chuck in. Let's just change it up a bit. No, that's fine. Let's keep it like that. So the way this one works is it will check this, and if this is true, finish, and then it will check this. So these two gets checked separately. So we can separate our if statements. What else can we do? We can also put if statements within if statements. So what I could do is I could go if cat is less than 10, let's make one up here. Else it's not less than 10. So what we do here is go text, we go less than 10, and over here, getting confused here, I might just turn all of these off. Alright, I'll turn all of those off and just close it down, hide it. Alright, so if cat is less than 10, say it's less than 10, else we just say not less than 10. More than 10. More, 10 or more. Alright, and then what we could do is inside here, if it is less than 10, we do another check. We can do another if statement inside. And we call this nested if. It means that this particular one here, if it's less than 10, let's be more specific, is it 2? And we'll just go there is 2. Okay, let's chuck this one up. Alright, so you can see here, let's give this, yeah, okay, so that's fine. Is it printing anything off less than 10? Okay, great. So what you can see here, if cat is equal to 3, well, if cat is equal to 3, cat is less than 10. So this thing gets printed off, less than 10. And then it will check again. Is cat equal to 2? No. So it doesn't say there is 2. I'll put that a little bit lower just so they can see what's happening. Alright, so now let's change the cat to 2. And you can see here, is cat less than 10? Yes, it'll print that off and it'll do a second check. Is it equal to 2? Yes, it is. So it's less than 10, there is 2. Now, here's the catch with this technique. If I made it 11, right? If this becomes false, it jumps straight to this default value and never checks this at all. It never checks that nested if statement. So we call this one nested because it's nested inside this bigger one. And nest means like, you know, a bird nests in its nest, right? So we can put if statements inside if statements. And it works a little bit different to having separate if statements, which is these are 2 separate if statements, and then it works of course differently if you have a lot of else ifs. You know, you can have a bunch of else ifs. Right. So you can have if, then else if, then else if, and then you have to end, and then you end with an else. You can't mix it. Make sure it starts with an if. You have as many else ifs as you like, and then you end with an else. So if, you don't have to have an else either. For this one, you notice this one doesn't have an else. What else do you need to know? I think that's about it. That's pretty much the programming theory that I wanted to go through. All of this knowledge should help you with answering the questions from your cat. This is just a little bit annoying, isn't it? But anyway, thanks for listening.